This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Looking to see what's happening around your home? Ring's battery doorbell helps you track packages and see who's at your door in real time. The Outdoor Cam Plus protects your yard at night with a wide field of view and clearer Retinal 2K video. Or upgrade to 4K cameras and doorbells with Retinal Vision for ultra-clear zoom and detail. Your door, your yard, your home. With Ring, it's protected. Shop cameras, doorbells, and more at ring.com now.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me by Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, when we last did an episode of Anxiety, the Knicks were still in the middle of a 53-year championship drought. And now all of a sudden, they are champions in an somewhat improbable turn of events. Obviously not improbable if you watched any of these playoff games, but improbable if you've been a Knicks fan for a very long time, which you and I were years ago, as we talked about on Country Club Atmosphere. We will get into the Knicks in the second half of this episode. That's oddly packed, honestly. But how are you feeling right now, watching New York go crazy for a blue and orange team that is not ours?
Yeah, I mean, it's been said by a lot of people just about how the Knicks are kind of in St. John's, I guess, or like they're in like a league of their own, and St. John's to a much lesser extent of being a team that can kind of unify the city, right, in such a way. And so that's been fun to watch. And, there's been a lot of people saying stuff, pointing at stuff about that, and just about like New York and this area as a sports town for sure. It's one of a kind. And, but we'll going deeper into how does this affect the Leafs kind of stuff about the Islanders and Knicks in the second half. It certainly, anytime something like this happens, there's always, whether it be the Knicks or, when the Cubs won or just any monumental championship. I know all championships are monumental, but some are not all are created equal, really. The other fan bases feel naturally, no matter the sport, not just basketball or whatever, you feel like a tinge of jealousy, of course. But oddly, I didn't feel that at all here because I just, I have a lot of loved ones who are over the moon right now. So it's been fun to kind of watch from the couch as they've come to grips with this. Because yeah, I mean, I just think that you put it right. Like a couple weeks ago, they were still this team that we're in a 53-year drought, and now they're not, and that's hard to wrap your head around. And I've certainly had that thought about the Islanders, about just like one day maybe it could just poof, the hurt's gone, but it's hard to think about that.
Yeah, for sure. There is a touch of jealousy for me, I'll be honest with you. And I wrote an article about this at the Patreon. Like I said, we'll get into it in the second half, but it has been fun. Obviously I have a lot of loved ones too, and seeing pictures of them watching the game and enjoying it. And my best friend Gio has 2 sons that are both teenagers. They're both in high school. And I was like, I hope your boys are really enjoying this, because these moments don't come around very often. And what I wanted to say, they're both also like Gio, like me, diehard Islanders fans. And I didn't want to be like, you're never going to see this from the Islanders, so you might as well enjoy this now. I didn't want to be that guy, but the thought did cross my mind. But like I said, we got a lot more to talk about that later. Also, at the very end of this episode, we are going to reveal the winners of our sweepstakes, those who won the t-shirts, the jacket, and the jerseys. We'll get into all of that at the very end of the show, because that's how these things work. I know you hate that when TV does it, but we're going to do it too. We also have some announcements in the middle that you will want to hear about upcoming shows that I think you will all enjoy. And obviously, reminder that we are on Patreon at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. You can sign up to get our, ad-free episodes, bonus podcasts, chats, all that kind of stuff. And again, don't let the off-season scare you into not doing that, because we put stuff out on the Patreon all summer long. So it's never a bad time. You can also sign up for free to get our weekly release calendar. And if you've been part of the sweepstakes, you already know you're getting the weekly release calendar, which, tells you what's coming up. So patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Any way you can, sign up. Okay. We do have some Islanders stuff to actually talk about. It's not a lot, but it's some. And we have 2 signings. One is Marshall Warren. The other is Dylan Kuefler. We were just talking about him before, because I forgot his name before too. Kuefler, I guess, is a farmhand. I guess they must have liked him because they brought him back. But the Warren signing, I know, excites me. We've talked about him before, the kid from Laurel Hollow. I thought he looked good in the couple of games he played for the Islanders this year. I don't know why he didn't get another chance. Who the hell knows? Maybe the coach decision, maybe a management decision. I don't know. I assume he'll spend a lot of time in Hamilton next year, but I do want to see him play for the Islanders again, because I saw some stuff. He looked good. He almost had a goal at one point. He ended up being an assist, and he had a large rooting section, which is always fun too. And then, we say this all the time, and it for us, it's important. We're Long Islanders. We love seeing Long Islanders play for the Islanders. And I got the game 6 of the Cup final here on, and Brandon Bussey is playing for the Hurricanes, and I am just finding out via our Patreon chat that he grew up a Rangers fan. So the hell with Brandon Bussey. But Marshall Warren, we know, is an Islanders fan growing up, and so he has my love and respect. And but seriously, I thought he played well for the Islanders. So what'd you make of the Warren signing? I'm pretty sure it's a 2-way contract, and he'll see some minor time. But I think this guy has a future. Maybe am I just wearing blue and orange glasses?
I don't think so. I think had you said that before this season, we'd say, yeah, we're probably just doing, being biased towards him being a Long Islander and an Islander fan. But as you said, it wasn't really what he showed during his little stint. It was what he didn't do, which was he didn't seem nervous. He didn't seem tentative. He played with physicality. He like you, it's a little confusing why he was. I understand, and we wanted them to go get a defenseman. We didn't want them to get Carson Soucy, but we wanted them to get a defenseman. And then, but it was a little confusing that he just, because I thought he was better than Travis Mitchell, who also was fine in his little stint, and Travis Mitchell was better than Cole McWard, who was not. Right.
I thought Isaiah George was fine too.
And, Isaiah George, like McWard was really the only one who seemed out of his depth. But of those, I thought Warren was much more than acceptable. And frankly, like, probably would have trusted him more than Scott Mayfield or Carson Soucy down the stretch. Had the
Right.
Islanders, they made a coaching change to try to make the playoffs. If you remember, with 4 games
Right.
left, they fired Patrick Waugh and brought in Pete DeBoer. I almost would have been like, you just call up Marshall Warren and
Right.
Travis Mitchell and
They could
just,
have done that too.
yeah, if you really want to go for it, because at that point, I don't think you could have got worse than 4-24 and a injured Ryan Pulock. So, but yeah, I mean, I would have been I guess the best way to put it is I would have been very disappointed had they just not brought him back.
Right.
So hopefully he is a solid candidate for the number 7 role. Maybe even pushes for a opening day spot. But yeah, happy to keep him in there. So the more Long Islanders on the Islanders, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, that would have been a hell of an explanation. Like, why didn't you bring this guy back again?
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's sort of a no brainer. On the other hand, I guess it kind of isn't, because it's a 2-way contract for a guy who's going to play in the minors. But in either event, I'm glad he's back. I really do hope he gets a real good shot this year. And we'll have to wait and see. But I'm glad he's here. Other Islanders quote unquote news, I suppose, is that Ilya Sorokin was also pretty good this year. Finished second in the Vezina Trophy voting. We got the final awards counts out. Andrei Vasilevsky of Tampa Bay won the award, and he had 114 points to Sorokin's 51, so wasn't exactly close. But Sorokin did get 8 first place votes. He also got 8 third place votes, which is a little crazy. This is the second time Sorokin's coming in second for the Vezina. On one hand, that's great. So we've seen plenty of goalies play whole careers with the Islanders and never get even, a vote for the Vezina. So coming in second, certainly, no shame in that. That being said, it's just a reminder that, a little bit of preventive defense could have gone a long way here. I mean, the Lightning are a good team. They lost in the first round. Vasilevsky obviously doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He's got every piece of hardware and accolade you could possibly want. And he'd certainly deserve this, but I don't know. I feel like this could have been a lot closer. Had mistakes not been made throughout the course of the year, and he not just been kind of left to his own devices, which, on one hand is, kind of the magic of Sorokin. He can do that. I mean, he did set the team's all-time shutout record this year, so let's not forget that either, passing the great Chico Resch. But I don't know. It's just the same kind of tree we've been driving around this whole season, which is like, can we help the guy out? He's great, but he could use a little bit of help. But I don't know. Jeremy Swayman, by the way, was third with 46. So Swayman and Sorokin were both kind of chilling way behind Vasilevsky there. I don't know. What'd you think of this? I found it funny that like Logan Thompson was for half the season the favorite, and he finished fourth. Igor Shesterkin got 2 second place votes. Sure. Okay, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, it's fine. Again, Sorokin, it's fine that he didn't win, but I actually find myself almost more happy for him that he finished second for the second time than, mad that he didn't win it, because I know why he didn't win it. But I think it's pretty cool that he keeps showing up on this list, because once you're in the conversation, we have seen it's, unless the wheels really fall off, it'll just be sort of a matter of time. So I didn't necessarily mind that he came in second, but what'd you make of that? The sort of voting here, and your feelings on at least Sorokin coming in second for the Vezina?
Yeah, regret basically on behalf of other people that aren't me. Like I hope that the players on that team and were like, well, we screwed this one up. I think they should take responsibility for that. They should take responsibility for a lot of things. And this is one of them. And really concerning about it is that you said it right. He set the record for shutouts, and he was just brilliant for 3/4 of the season.
Right.
But that feels like so long ago. And part of it is because we're in the middle of June. But
right.
The other part is that when they got back from the Olympics, they just played so poorly.
I was going to say that last quarter was so bad.
It was so bad that it just feels almost like a different season entirely. Right. And you just, goalies are very, strange, volatile creatures. And you just never know if a goalie's going to repeat or improve or just fall off, fall to the wayside. And I love Sorokin. I'm happy that he's an Islander. I'm very grateful that we've had this much time with him. But I just hope that that's not his best season ever, right? Right.
Yeah,
Like, because there's
right.
a chance it could be. He was brilliant. He was so good. And you just never know. You never know with anything in sports, but especially with goaltenders, it's super hard to project forward. And I really hope that they just didn't. We could feel pretty confident that that was probably one of his best seasons, but I really hope they just didn't waste the best season that he'll have, because that's what's so sad is that the way the season ended and the way that this team went and the way the team was run and our concerns about how they're being run right now make a second place finisher in the Vezina Trophy feel bitter when it shouldn't. The only reason you should be bitter is you're like, God, he got robbed. He deserved it.
Right.
But no, we're bitter because they blew this for Sorokin, and that's concerning. It should be something that the fan base should celebrate and rally around. But instead, we're going this way, and that stinks. And it's not, and it's got not like there's no, as they're saying, like there's no bitterness towards him not winning. I don't think he deserved to win. At the end, just like Matt Schaefer apparently didn't deserve to be a unanimous all rookie team ever.
Team?
Which was
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was incredible. But yeah. So I mean, that's what this season has done. Like how many times have we said, like they're spoiling so many amazing things. They found a way to spoil so much goodwill, and this is one of them. So, yeah, a lot of people owe Ilya Sorokin an apology.
Yeah, that was my big concern for most of the first half of the year, when he was really, really doing like some superhuman shit out there. Like, I was worried that, like, I mean, at one point, Arthur Staple was on his podcast, another podcast, being like, he has a relationship with Steve Valiquette, who's got the clear sight analytics, and like the things that Sorokin was doing were like in the Hasek stratosphere, which, if you're as old as we are, means something. And like that was the kind of, when he started saying that, I was like, okay, this is very serious now, and letting this go without, playoff spot or, Vezina Trophy win or something like that would really, really, really be a shame. And of course, about a million other things happened and got us to here. And I mean, they are still a shame, but I'm with you. Like, I don't know if he has a season like this again. I mean, he's not 30, I don't think, yet, so he probably should, and he's got plenty of good years ahead of him. But that being said, to get back to my earlier point, if this franchise can at some point relearn how to, prevent another team from taking way too many high danger chances against their goalie, maybe he doesn't have to be Dominic Hasek again, and he could just be, Ilya Sorokin, or be a somewhat, non-Hasek goalie that is still just plenty good. I mean, again, we are watching the Stanley Cup final right now between two, frankly, teams with subpar goaltending. Like, let's just be honest. And so you can win. You don't need Dominic Hasek to win a Stanley Cup, but you do need to play some defense. And the Islanders have abdicated that for the better part of the last 5 years. And Sorokin is still out here doing his thing. So hopefully they can make up the difference, and then Sorokin can be almost as good, and they can still have some success later on, but we'll see. But either way, I think coming in second is definitely something to be proud of, and I hope he is. He's hanging out with the Romanovs this summer, according to Romanov's Instagram, so that's always cool too. But hopefully he comes back energized to really get the Vezina, maybe get to the playoffs next year too. I would hope so. Very quickly, I'm sure you've all seen it by now. Obviously, Vasilevsky won the Vezina, and they gave it to him in the most bizarre way I think the NHL ever could. I get that they don't want to do the award show anymore, because frankly, those were just the fucking worst shows ever produced by anyone. Just absolute horrible, horrible television by everybody involved. And it's just awful. So I'm glad they're not doing that anymore. That being said, I don't know if having police pull Vasilevsky over and then checking the trunk of his car as if there's like drugs back there, only to find the Vezina trophy is really the right way to go about it. I love Impractical Jokers as much as anybody, but I don't know if this is really how you want to treat this kind of stuff, but I don't know. I guess if Vasilevsky had a good time, then I guess it's fine. But I did think it was a little bit bizarre where I'm like, what am I watching right now? And then they did a weird thing with Nikita Kucherov, who won the MVP. There was like boats involved, and it was just like, I guess it's fine. You know, it's better than the award show, that's for sure. But I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something in between, you know, prank show hijinks and a very poorly performed and stilted, awful Vegas award show that we can do for this kind of thing. But I guess if the players are into it, then that's fine. But I know you watched the Vasilevsky thing and we're like, what is going on? It's very, very weird.
I mean, just leave it to the NHL to be like, we got to improve on the award show. And how often did we hear over like 2 or 3 years ago when this new format was being bandied about, like the water carrying from media members being like, you're gonna love the way the NHL is awarding these guys. I'm like, the way I find out is I open up the NHL app to see the score of a game, one of the games if I'm not watching, and I see the same headline: Kucherov surprised with Hart Trophy, McDavid surprised with the Lester B. Pearson Award or whatever. You know, like it's and yeah, they're all very cringy. So it's classic NHL stuff that they've taken a bad idea and made it worse, which is not easy to do. But it seems something they're pretty good at, you know. And I think the ESPN broadcasts are just a pretty good at, you know, that's the poster child of taking something bad and continuing to make it worse and worse and worse. So shouldn't be too surprised.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, doing something bad and finding a way to make it worse is what the NHL, it should be on the NHL Shield, to be honest with you. Right. But either way, congrats to those guys for winning. And again, it is funny. I think it was what chaos. It was like, so wait a minute, this team had the MVP and the Vezina Trophy, and they still lost the Vezina Trophy winner, and they still lost in the first round. Okay, sure, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But both of them are, again, they are above reproach. And at some point, you know, apparently there's a thing. This was on 32 Thoughts. They were talking about Tampa fans feel like Kucherov gets disrespected all the time. Guys, there's enough going on. You don't need to make up stuff to get mad about. Like, just, I don't think that's the case at all. I think people don't talk as much about Kucherov because he doesn't play for a Canadian team. That's why. And they're going to talk about McDavid and you know, Matthews and these other guys way more than these guys. Also, I'm not 100% sure that as we talked about on our Canes Carol special from last week over was that I don't think Julien Brisebois is the type that calls them back. You know, there are guys that call them back. They work for Carolina, Minnesota, and Vegas, and Utah, and that's why those 4 teams are talked about and Edmonton, and that's why those 5 teams are talked about nonstop. I don't think Tampa is one of those teams, but trust me, plenty of people know how good Nikita Kucherov is. Okay, speaking of Canadian markets and Canadian teams and Canadian writers, generally speaking, we are loath to discuss trade rumors and things like that, but this thing popped up since the last time we recorded, and I feel like we can address it here, and because it's, you know, it's sort of gets to a thing that annoys me, which is the sort of reading is fundamental aspect of things that people seem to forget. And, you know, one person writes one thing that is probably not 100% true, and the next thing you know, it becomes gospel, and then people are talking about it and stuff. And so back on June 1st, Bruce Garriock, longtime reporter covering the Ottawa Senators, wrote an article. It's like a notebook article. Said, after falling short in playoffs, rival Senators and Habs enter high-stakes offseason. Talks about changes that the Senators are making. And about halfway down, there's a bit that says, looking for scoring help. And it's all about Steve Staios, the Ottawa general manager, who's been scouring the market for a top 6 forward and to play with center Tim Stützle. And towards the end of this bit, he mentions Mat Barzal of the New York Islanders. And again, this is where I think we need to remember that words matter. And this is what Garriock writes about Mat Barzal and the Islanders. He writes, a league executive told the Citizen, the Ottawa Citizen, that the New York Islanders are exploring the market for forward Matthew Barzal. The club would like to clear some cap space, but it's a big financial commitment with 4 years left at $9.15 million through 2030-31. Reports indicate that the Utah Mammoth kicked tires on Barzal last summer, but opted not to make the move. Barzal, 29, finished with 19 goals and 72 points in 81 games for the Isles last season, but that salary would be tough for the Senators to swallow. Okay, you got all that? Again, I'll put the link in there, and you can go read it yourself. Somehow, this league executive who said that the Islanders are exploring the market for Barzal became the Islanders are trading Mat Barzal. And to me, what this reads is they are maybe asking about Barzal, but not necessarily ready to trade Barzal. And that means literally nothing because they're probably, I would assume Matthew Darche is always talking to other general managers. The other thing that gets me is reports indicate that the Utah Mammoth kicked tires on Barzal last summer, but opted not to make the move. Here's where things fall apart for me. Kicking tires isn't, we have a deal, but we're not going to make the move. Kicking tires is, hey, what's going on with Barzal? I mean, would you be open to maybe making a trade for him? That's, to me, what kicking tires means. Opted not to make the move, to me, reads like Matthew Darche was like, okay, you give me X, Y, and Z, and I'll trade you Barzal. And Bill Armstrong went, nah, I think we're good. Those are two very different concepts. So, in total, we have an unnamed league source telling Bruce Garriock, who doesn't cover the Islanders and covers a team that plays 1,200 miles from them and has probably not been to Long Island in the last, 10 years, maybe 15 years, telling him that they're exploring a market for Mat Barzal because he's making something like $9.5 million. And also we have Utah kicking tires, but also saying no to a deal. So in total, this whole thing is BS. To me, this whole thing reads like just bullshit, basically. Maybe they trade Mat Barzal. I don't know, but I don't think Bruce Garriock is going to be the first person to report that. So that was a bit of a run-on rant here. I know you've seen this stuff. And again, it caught on like wildfire. Oh, they're going to trade Barzy. Why would they trade Barzy? We're going to get to a guy who people think they're going to trade Barzal for in a few minutes. But to me, this whole thing is just more like, did people actually read this before they went to Reddit and started talking about the Islanders wanting to trade Barzal? Because to me, this reads like a whole lot of nothing. But I don't know. Am I reading it wrong? Do you read it a different way?
You're not reading it wrong. I would echo what you say, and then I would add that this has been I think a frustration over the past calendar year now, which is that the loose lips they sink ships, right? And like this stuff just very rarely got out under the previous regime, and when it did, it got nipped in the bud really quick, really, really quick, and just never was allowed to really take on a life of its own. There'd be some situations where it would happen just because that's what sports fans do, is they talk. Oh, who would you trade Mat Barzal for? And it a conversation on Twitter, and it becomes can take on a life of its own. And in the off season, you got to fill that void with conversation because there are no games actually being played. Right. So like that stuff would happen, but it wouldn't get to this level because it wasn't allowed to. It just was never allowed to. Bruce Garriock would get a phone call and say like, "Who'd you hear that from?" And Bruce, I've always respected you. This is what happened. So this to me screams that at one point the Ryan Smith, the NHL, it wants to be in the Ryan Smith business. The owner of the Qualtrics Utah Mammoth watched the Islanders play and was like, that Barzal guy is pretty cool. Maybe he even saw him at that tech conference, the Wall Street Journal tech conference. I'm sure he was probably in attendance at that thing, like
with his hat backwards.
Yep. Oh yeah. His hat was backwards. Team Pup and Suds from Brink. If you grew up watching that movie, God, I would love to punch this guy in the face, huh? And he probably was like, that Barzal guy's pretty cool, and we want him on, that kind of player on Utah. Yeah, so he probably was like, we want to call on that guy, and someone was like, well, you own the team, you can do that, and had Doug Armstrong call on cool Mat Barzal, and one thing leads to another, and this this is how this thing happened. I at this point I feel like it's pretty clear the Islanders they haven't exactly pushed back on the rumors, but I feel like they've with the way that this team has been run and how leaky things are, we would have known if it was legitimate or anything was close. That said, like the simple truth is, and this is something that I feel like because of the insider culture, the professional liar culture, anytime a GM has a conversation with another GM, it's like groundbreaking, right? Whereas like their job literally every day like is to check in on certain things. You and I can open up Puckpedia and say, Eric Comrie is a unrestricted free agent and he is a backup goalie. I should keep, check in on that and eventually, right? Or Alex Tuck is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. I should call Jarmo Kekalainen, and that's what they're supposed to do. That's their job. You and I go to meetings at our jobs. Other people go to meetings, and GMs. This is their version of a meeting is to call the GM of the Anaheim Ducks and tough negotiate with Pat Verbeek. So yeah, of course. I mean, you could say that you can put any Islanders name in this ring basically and be like, yep, I'm sure that Team X has kicked tires on Simon Holmstrom or Emil Heineman or Alex Romanov or Ilya Sorokin because that's what they do. Hey, any chance, that what would it take to get this guy? Is this guy available? What's the deal? Do you have plans for this guy in the future? His contract coming up. So I get it. And as we say all the time, losing seasons have consequences. And one of the consequences is that this talk becomes louder, especially when the Islanders are in a position where you can't feel quite confident that they'll bounce back next season and be better. I would say like if they were the Florida Panthers, where you said, they lost their most important player day one of training camp to an ACL injury. They were dog tired from the run that they went on. Kachuk was hurt. Everyone expects them to be back. I don't think that these rumors would be loud because all the players would just be like, let's get back to it. Whereas this situation seems different, and we're seeing that with an unrestricted free agent on the Islanders and Anders Lee too, which now that stuff is kind of taken on a life of its own too, and it's getting frustrating.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's there's the insider culture, the leaky, lips, the loose lips, sinking ships, and it's just, and again, combined with the, lack of reading comprehension from people who are, it creates this shitstorm of like, just nonsense and breathless kind of coverage. And again, I'm not going to sit here and be like the Islanders aren't going to trade Mat Barzal. They might. He has, and
it might be a good thing if they do, right? Like you never know if there's a great offer.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it would be a bad thing, but maybe it ends up being a good thing. He has like limited trade protection. Like there is a list of teams he could be traded to, so that is possible as well. Again, he's owed over $9 million this year, which is not an easy pill for some teams to swallow. That's the other funny thing about all this is like Garriock brings up his name and then is like, well, yeah, but the Senators can't afford that. So then what the fuck are you bringing him up for? Like, I don't know. Like, what are you talking about him for? But just to mention that Utah kicked the tires on him. But then that's the part that makes me the maddest is opted not to make the move. So does that imply that there was a move there? I really find it very hard to believe that Matthew Darche took the job and then a month later was like, hey, Bill, you want to make a deal? It doesn't, that to me doesn't wash. So
you said, reading comprehension, it's just like putting the clues together. You kind of mentioned it in passing, but Bruce Garriock is a Ottawa Senators reporter who's talking about the Utah Mammoth and the New York Islanders. Right. It's just very, it's all weird, but I would expect Mat Barzal. A lot of other teams have kicked tires on Mat Barzal as well. So
sure.
I just don't. It's frustrating because it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't make sense. It's the ripple effects never make sense, and that's what it is. It's frustrating, and you're like, well, no, that's not how this goes.
And especially when you see a thing like, oh, the Islanders are exploring the trade market for Mat Barzal, and then you go back and read the article, you're like, Are they though? Like,
yeah. And it's really nice outside too. And you're like, why are we doing this? Like, it's
right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, let's go outside.
Not for nothing, but when you've been on the hockey internet as long as we have, when you see the name Bruce Garriock, the first thing that pops in your mind is the Evgeny Malkin to the LA Kings rumor that he was peddling about 15 years ago. And so I haven't bought a single thing he said the entire time, because that never happened. Evgeny Malkin is still in Pittsburgh.
I will say, a character that I never want to see go away. Like, he's just, like Jim Matheson. He's like a Jim Matheson type, I just like, very with his bow tie and his like surly look, and the fact that he's covering the Ottawa Senators. So he's got that chip on his shoulder that he's not, not in the same league as the Toronto reporters. So I appreciate Bruce's shtick quite a bit, but I don't appreciate this kind of stuff. And
especially when people like run with it and stuff.
Yep.
However, speaking of forwards that may be on the move and for whom tires may or may not have been kicked by multiple teams, Dylan Larkin, as you all know by now, has officially requested a trade from Detroit. This is a big deal. He's from Michigan. He's the captain of the Red Wings. They have not made the playoffs. Well, they did his rookie year. They have not made the playoffs in 10 years since. He's an excellent player. Hasn't been able to lift the Red Wings. You guys have heard all this a million times from a million other different podcasts. We're not going to get into the whole thing. But this again gets to some more, what are we talking about kind of stuff here. And Helena St. James is one of the ladies who covers the Red Wings. And, she was one of the people to break the story. And Larkin at first had 3 teams on his trade list: Vegas, Florida, Minnesota. Go figure. It's those 3 teams again. How about that? The teams that call the insiders back often happen to be the destinations where everybody wants to play. And it was sort of like, okay, really, dude, these are the teams you're going to go play for? Really?
Yep.
Later on, a report came out from Helena St. James that the Larkin may be asked to expand his list, and some aggregator site, I think I might be getting the chain of events here correct, but I might be wrong, but it doesn't really matter either way, sort of took that as, well, here are some other teams that might be on his list if he is indeed asked to expand the list per this report by one of the people who covers the Red Wings. And in that thing was, maybe the Islanders might be a team that, might explore Dylan Larkin. They don't score any goddamn goals. Maybe they needed 30 more goals from Dylan Larkin, even though they have 500 centers on it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. This, again, gets aggregated into all these different places that I find myself, during the course of the day, whether it's YouTube, Reddit, various websites, Blue Sky, whatever. And all of a sudden it becomes Islanders on Dylan Larkin's now expanded list of trade. And it's like, wait, really? You go back and look and it's like, no, it's some aggregator site taking somebody else's reporting and then adding their own sort of spin on it and throwing names out there. And I'm like, so this is nothing. We don't even know if he's going to be asked to expand the list. I think it came out later that he is going to be asked to expand the list, which is probably fine, but there's no guarantee the Islanders are going to be on that list. In fact, I'm willing to bet money they are not going to be on that list because nobody would say, trade me to the Long Island. Nobody is ever going to say that in the history of the NHL, let alone Dylan Larkin. So again, kids, please read back on this stuff. I'm begging you before it starts becoming a thing. Dylan Larkin will welcome trade to the Islanders. That is in no way, shape, or form the truth. And as it stands, I am willing to bet that Dylan Larkin is very much not coming to the Islanders anytime soon because, again, they have 8 trillion centers. And so then what happens is this nonsense gets mixed up with the Garriock nonsense. And all of a sudden it's like, well, how about trading Barzal for Larkin? And then you're like, why? Like, their numbers are similar. Larkin's played a lot more games. He scores a lot more goals. Barzal's got a bunch more assists. Both of them are great players, but have their flaws. I don't see why one team would swap one for the other. But it became a talking point for a couple of days. And I was just like, this is built on nothing. It's not even a house of cards. That calling it built on a house of cards would be an insult to cards. Like it's not worth it. So I feel like you said, it's a summertime, especially now that the NBA finals are over, potentially the Stanley Cup finals are over. We might really be in the dog days. Thank God for the World Cup, I suppose, that people's attention will be taken there. But I don't know, man. I feel like what is pretty straightforward, if non-sexy reporting, is getting kind of twisted and tied up and becoming something it's definitely not. And as a person that wants to keep up on this stuff so he can talk about it on his podcast, it kind of gets a little bit annoying. Like I'm annoyed that we're even talking about this because I don't think any of this is going to come to fruition with the Islanders at all. I don't think Larkin is coming here. Maybe Barzal gets traded, but I doubt it happens. But yet here we are, because it's sort of been the biggest talking point in Islanders land in the 2 weeks that it's been since our last recording. So, did you catch all this stuff with Larkin? I mean, the whole story is bizarre and really came out of nowhere. And I feel a little bit for Red Wings fans, and this has actually made me lose a lot of respect for Dylan Larkin. I've always thought was a pretty good player. Again, I don't think the Islanders are involved either way, but it's been a weird week or so for Larkin and the Red Wings.
Yeah, I think what my first and main thought from this was that for a number of years, on either side of like the pandemic, when the cap was kind of flat and then was hard cap, and everyone was like, the NBA has it right with all the player movement and the player power, and there are big trades all the time in the NBA. Like, why can't the NHL be more like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's just not how I roll. I like that you go into the NHL, you leave an NHL season and go into the next NHL season pretty much knowing 70% of the roster, and year over year there's not that much turnover because you get attached to these guys, and I like that. And now everyone is seeing that push kind of come to fruition, and partly because of the return to best on best that everybody was clamoring for. And as fun to watch and as those tournaments were, this side effect is certainly one. I think you could kind of point back to that these, especially the Team USA guys, seem to be into the idea of like the NBA, hey, let's team up kind of situation. Yeah. And I don't think it's good. Like I don't like Dylan Larkin signed an 8-year contract. If he was in like the Quinn Hughes, Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk part of his deal where it was coming to an end, and he was like, hey, got 2 years left. I'm the captain here. Appreciate it. Like, I appreciated my time here, but I don't think I'm going to resign. You might want to, trade me to this team because I'm not going to resign. Right. That's one thing, but he's halfway through an 8-year deal. Like, there's 4 years left, and he's got a no movement clause. Like, to request a trade, because you don't like the GM and you keep losing, and you're the captain of the team that keeps losing. Like, that's your fault, buddy. Like, go fix it. I don't understand how people are like, oh, I love this player empowerment thing. In the situation like what Hughes and Tkachuk, fine. You want to be behind that, that's fine. But in this situation, this is like just being a spoiled brat in my mind.
Yeah.
That's like, so you're going to sign an 8-year contract. You're going to be named the captain of a team, and just because you can't get your team to the playoffs, you're going to demand a trade because you had such a fun time in Sochi or Milan with these guys, with my guys, with my friends. And not only that, like, this is where you're from, Michigan. You went to University of Michigan. This is a betrayal. I feel for Red Wings fans completely. And it's funny because it's made Steve Yzerman, who's been the subject of a lot of ire up there, kind of turned into a bit of a
sympathetic figure.
Yeah. And which I find pretty funny. And then so to request a trade, okay, it's not working out, go for it. But also be like, oh, but I also have a no movement clause. So I'm not only requesting a trade, but I'm only going to accept it if we go to the 3 teams that everybody has on their list. One of the Florida teams, Vegas, or Bill Guerin, because I became chummy with him during the Olympics, and my buddy Quinn's there. Yeah, no, that just doesn't fly with me. And Dylan Larkin's a good hockey player. If the Islanders got him, and I'm sure I'd get over this, but like, this is Nick Kypreos, I think had a lot of salient thoughts on this, as he always does. he says them very loud, but they are salient, which is like, this is a reputation ruiner, basically.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts. I honestly never even made the connection to the Islanders because I just didn't think that the Islanders would be near this or should be near it because of as you said, unless you're trading a center and getting, I don't know. I just didn't really find a way to make it make sense in my head with Larkin. But so those are my thoughts. It just made me more upset about the state of things that a player who is for just because he's losing and not making the playoffs as the team's most important player can demand a trade and leak it out, because obviously the Red Wings aren't leaking this out,
right? Yeah.
You know, why on earth would they do that? Like, hey, we're Dylan Larkin requested a trade, by the way. What? Like, of course they don't, because there was like a little debate, like how did this get out? Who leaked this? I'll tell you who leaked it. It was the player and his agent, obviously, because they're trying to they must have done it a while ago and are trying to put the pressure on Stevie Y. Mm-hmm. My hope here is that he just doesn't give in. Yeah. You know, he just doesn't trade the guy. He just holds him hostage because he can contractually. So
apparently there's no love lost between Larkin and Yzerman. Like they just don't get along, basically. So
yeah, which is once again funny because they signed this long contract, both of them. You know? Yeah. So I feel like once again that's probably coming from the Larkin camp.
Yeah.
I think this whole thing is coming from them, and as we keep, I know maybe people are tired about hearing it, but just the way these things work now with the insiders and stuff, it's always the same thing. It's that one side of a story is trying to negotiate through the media somehow, and this is where we end up. And I just it's really frustrating because it's not how sports were meant to work.
Yeah. It's this case, it's the insider culture plus a sport that gives every single player in the league a full no movement clause. Right. Like it. I get that Dylan Larkin's a very good player. Again, we've run down the list of reasons why he's been pretty important to the Red Wings. I get all that, but like, does everybody really need to have a full no movement clause? Like, I listen, my job is not trading me to Anaheim or Seattle or, Arizona or Utah or Florida or wherever. Right. So, and neither is yours. And like, we get that. But like when you're a pro athlete, that is part of the gig. That's just how it works. And I hate to be that blunt and that callous, but that's just how it is. I feel for the wives. I feel for the kids having to start a new, school somewhere. And, the wife is the one doing all the really hard work, right? Like all the dude's got to do is show up, get the uniform, make sure that his name is spelled right on the back, pick a number, get a stall. They already know his nickname by the time he gets there and go out and do what he did in the previous city. She's the one who's got to buy the house, move the kids, do all that stuff. And so it's a lot of hard work and it sucks for everybody. But like, that is the gig. That is the bargain. You're making $9.5, $8.5, $10.5, whatever it is, $1 million a year. You're playing a sport. You can win glory and all that kind of stuff. And maybe you end up playing for another team at a certain point. I think that's just how it's going to have to be. But these guys don't want that. They want a full no movement clause. And then they want to be able to be like, no, trade me to here or wherever. Oh, by the way, I don't want to pay any taxes anymore. Okay, well, join the club. Nobody wants to fucking pay taxes. Everybody hates paying taxes. Okay, somebody's got to pay taxes, or else we have no roads and cops and fire departments.
I don't want to be traded to Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Right, right, or Elmont, Long Island. Right, but like at the same time, it's just it's become this sort of very stale, environment where nobody's having any fun. Like we're not getting any information because the same 5 teams keep talking to the insiders, and the same, these guys all have the power to say, no, I don't want to go here. I want to go to where I want to go. And it's just, sometimes it still works and sometimes it doesn't. And, I'm not saying that Chris Drury putting Barclay Goodrow on waivers to get him to San Jose was a good move, but I'm saying I can kind of understand where he's coming from, so, and I can understand where Steve Yzerman is coming from now. Yeah. And it's funny because I've seen a lot of my Red Wings friends be like, you know what? Screw Larkin. Like, what are we doing here? Like, now you just want this all of a sudden? Like, after 10 years of missing the playoffs. Now all of a sudden you want what you want, get lost.
Yeah,
Come on,
and he's in his prime too. So like
Yeah.
another, like, I would be like, all right, like 36-year-old dude who's like, I got 2 more seasons left, and the Red Wings are rebuilding. They're also
right.
not that far off either.
Right.
Mo Sider's really good, Lucas Raymond's really good, Simon Edvinson's really good. They've had a lot of picks. Like they can turn around on a dime, just like the Sabres did for sure. So I find it all just, it made me mad because obviously what we went through on July 1st, 2018, and just the Islanders never being a destination and kind of always being on the wrong end of these kind of situations. It made me feel like kindred spirits with the Red Wings fans. I just don't like when this stuff happens. And
Right.
And the other thing is that I know that it's now the vogue thing is to go play with your Olympic teammates with Bill Guerin or go to a no tax state. But I still have PTSD that any situation like this always ends up with the player in one place.
Yeah.
And that's Manhattan. So like, that's the other, I'm like, God damn it. Like, and I saw one of my Ranger fan friends. I'm like, how long do we have to wait till Dylan Larkin's on the Rangers for like Vincent Trocheck and a 4th round pick? He's like, I don't want, like, I'm committed to this rebuild. I don't want to do it. Like, I'm done with that kind of stuff. I want to just do this the right way. And I laughed with him, being like, what happened to you? And he's like, no, and he was blaming the Knicks. He's like, I see the Knicks doing it this way. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to get the right guys, not just the guys who become available. So, but yeah, I mean, this has one ending, right? It's the Rangers are the team that makes the best offer. He goes to the Rangers, and the offer is terrible anyways.
Right. I was gonna say, and that offer is a 3rd round pick. Well, that's what's funny about the Minnesota thing too, is that everybody agrees that the Wild have no cap room, and nothing to trade for the Red Wings. But he definitely wants to go to Minnesota. There's a good chance he ends up over there. Could you imagine Larkin and Kaprizov? Okay, so despite the actual facts, we're all gearing up for Dylan Larkin, Minnesota Wild. Sure, okay. Sure, that sounds great because Bill Guerin's definitely not in the group chat telling you all this. Yeah,
right.
So it's it's a great state of affairs in the old NHL hot stove. But there's one more thing before we get to our break in our second half, and it goes back to the Islanders, and that is the Anders Lee situation. And this comes from, you guessed it, Pierre LeBrun's rumblings. Everybody loves Pierre's rumblings. When Pierre rumbles, the world listens, and here we are. In one of his latest rumblings, where he wrote at The Athletic, of course, where he wrote, Lee Islanders update. The New York Islanders continue to keep the dialogue open with Anders Lee and his camp, led by agent Neil Sheehy. I think Islanders GM Matthew Darche will do what he can right up to July 1st to bring back his captain, so I wouldn't close that door. But unless there's a real shift in positions, it still appears more likely that Lee goes to market. Again, kind of a non-update update, but, it is interesting that they haven't settled on anything. It's entirely possible that Lee walks. There's no notice here of what he's looking for, what Darche is looking for. I'm sure Darche is looking for the lowest dollar amount for the least amount of years. So we could probably start there, which is probably the right place to start. So I am not personally closing the door on Anders Lee coming back, but this certainly seems to be like greasing the wheels for like, oh, now he's in Minnesota, because again, he signed for whatever deal. I don't know. I still don't buy the Minnesota connection there, aside from, that being his home. The Wild, I don't think have the cap room for him, but, I do think it's interesting that it's gotten to this point. I maintain that I thought Lee was going to come back. I didn't think it would get to, here when, he hasn't signed yet. And again, we're recording this, on Sunday, the 14th. So, I mean, by the time you listen to this, that might change, but, I don't know. I'm going to wait to see how this plays out before I react to it. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about it. And like you said before, when we started talking about Barzal, losing Anders Lee, should he walk away, would be, bittersweet. Obviously, he's been a good captain. He's a great guy. The Islanders had a lot of success under him. We've seen him score a lot of big goals. But at the end of the day, would it be the worst thing for the Islanders to open up a roster spot at forward that, somebody a little bit younger, a lot cheaper, with a little more fleet of foot, than Lee. But then you wonder what it does to the locker room. There'd be, they'd have to find a new captain. I'm assuming it would be Bo Horvat, but who knows? So there's a lot of dominoes that can fall here. So I'm not going to worry about it until it actually happens. But what'd you think of this small rumbling here
What do you call us? What's a word for a small rumbling? He's just like when you snack, you just need a little snack.
Yeah.
Like, very Winnie.
Burp, I guess.
He's
I don't know.
little Winnie the Pooh. He's got Winnie the Pooh language. That's like I always think about that Winnie the Pooh. It's so rumbly in my tumbly. And LeBron, he's got some Winnie the Pooh characteristics. So I'll just leave it at that. But once again, I say kind of theme here, and I feel I don't mean to repeat the same point over and over again, but I just don't like that this is happening in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, right.
When Anders Lee signed his last deal, he just went to, it was July 1st. It was quiet around Anders Lee till July 1st. Then he posted that GIF and he was back on the Islanders because that's how they operated back then and operated for the next 7 years. This is frustrating because even if assuming that it's Anders Lee's agent Neil Sheehy who's who's rumbling back and forth with Pierre, Neil Sheehy would know I can't rumble with you, Pierre, if Lou Lamoriello is in charge,
right?
Or I can, we can rumble all we want, but you better not put it under this is all off the record rumbling. So that's what's frustrating here, and I not to keep making the same point, but this is an unforced error by the Islanders already, which is that they just we what I'm about to say next. They brought on $12 million of contracts during the season, and that's why we're in the spot. And and they seemingly can't get the deals off the books that they want to get off the books, to whether it's to Duclair, Engvall, et cetera, go down the list to make room for Lee. And Anders Lee is a smart guy. When these other, he can read Puckpedia, he reads Bruce Garriock, like if he wants to, and he's probably got the reading comprehension to put these things together. So yeah, I'd be pretty frustrated if I was him, and I'd totally get why. But the one thing I do need to add, which is such an great Islanders thing, very unique to the Islanders thing, was I was at a birthday party for yesterday afternoon. Isla's friend from her preschool turned 4, so she went to the birthday party. I was talking to one of the dads in the wild. I don't think he knows that I am this illustrious podcaster.
Decorated
podcaster. This huge loser. And he was like, he's got a great kind of southern Long Island accent. He's like, I got a friend who's in Garden City, and he's telling me that like Lee's not taking a discount, man. He's not taking no discount to stay here because of he's because of the new GM. I'm like, He's like, he would do anything for Lou, I'm telling you. And I'm like, no, I could see it. And he just went on. He's like, no, my friend in Garden City is telling me like he's not taking a discount. And we're saying this as like, there's a birthday cake being passed around and stuff. And, him and I are just leaning against the wall, and he's not taking no discount. I loved it, every second of it. I just don't think you can have those conversations about the Columbus Blue Jackets,
Right.
In like the basement of like a sports facility. So I feel like this is like a 10% that he's back now, which is so sad. And it's really rubbing me the wrong way. And this isn't to say like the Islanders need this player back, because his on ice impact is going to be so profound, but it's that, hey, this guy brings a lot to the room. He's been the captain here for almost a decade. He's a huge part of the record books. He's going to play his 1,000th game. All things go well next season. This franchise, what part of the reason that this franchise had a resurgence was their commitment to the culture stuff, right? We talked about that.
Which is a huge part, obviously.
A huge part of it. And they have a young generational talent coming through. I don't think that this is like the right thing to do in front of him. Be like, oh yeah, but by the way, remember your captain from your rookie year? This is how we're going to treat him.
Yeah.
There's like all these kind of ramifications I don't want to deal with. But plus, the simple part is, one thing you do know about Anders Lee is even in a bad year, which if you want to call his past year bad year, he's going to score 19 goals. And what was your quote like 30 minutes ago? This team can't fucking score gols, like
Nope.
whatever it was.
Right.
I'll take those. Who's going to replace those 19 goals for the Islanders? Like I don't think it's going to be Andre Palat. I don't think it's going to be Anthony Duclair or Pierre Engvall.
It might not be Braden Shen, the guy you were talking about a minute ago.
Right. It might not be Braden Shen. It might not be any of these guys. So I just, I've got a lot of problems with this, and mostly it's because of the way it's been handled. I think that if July 1st had kind of just come and Lee signs if he signs like a 4-year, $6 million deal somewhere, I'd be like, well, yeah, the Islanders shouldn't have given him that. But now that we kind of know the background, even if he does that, I'd be like, it's a shame, I don't want that to happen. So I'll hold out that 10% hope that he comes back and he's an Islander and he finishes his career as an Islander because that's what he deserves. But yeah, it's a little disappointing on the team's part here.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's I'm gonna wait till it all shakes out before I finally have an opinion on it. But it just I don't know. It there's a lot of bad signs,
right?
I guess that beyond just the, like we said before, again, maybe this opens up a spot and okay, where are they going to get those 19 goals? Maybe Victor Eklund is the guy to get the 19 goals. So it is possible that they get somebody new, younger, faster that can provide that, but that's another, consideration to make. So I don't know. It really does suck. And there's no,
and I get the other side of it is this team has been desperately crying out for change in the country club. I get that.
Right.
I totally get all that. But I just think that there's a list of guys who you probably would want to make that example out of before this particular one. But once again, I guess we'll see where it goes. Because if he does sign that a big deal, you'd be like, well, sucks that he's gone, but happy we didn't give him that deal. But I don't know. It just the background stuff is, I don't want Pierre LeBrun rumbling about my one jersey 900 and something game captain, right? If Pierre LeBrun wants to rumble about Scott Mayfield, so be it. But I'm not. Right. I don't want him rumbling about this guy.
Yeah. And it also I'm glad you brought up the Shen thing too, because you and I were talking off, but without recording, about how baffling that trade still is all these months later, and this just made me baffled again. It's just like, well, wait a minute, did they maybe bring in Shen because they knew they weren't going to bring back Lee? And then it's like, okay, but why him? Why all of a sudden you're putting your eggs in Braden Shen's basket when you've got Anders Lee's basket right here? It started kind of maybe coming together, but then I was like, I don't know about that. So I don't know. And this is all stuff that Matthew Darsh, I'm sure, is wondering about. And if he makes the wrong decision here, he's going to hear it. It's going to be bad. I was also thinking before we hit our break that the guy you were talking about at that party might not know that you are an Islanders podcaster, but he might have thought that you were Dave Matthews, because apparently you've been mistaken for Dave Matthews, yes. Which I'm also still thinking about you telling me. And I haven't looked at a picture of Dave Matthews in a long time, or you do actually look like Dave. But to me, I mean, if you look like Dave Matthews, then I look like Sabrina Carpenter. I don't really know how else I'm still baffled by this.
Yeah.
But,
no, it was in college, so I still had hair too. So I think that's part of yeah. But
that still doesn't make any sense. Then I am thinking about Dave Matthews, right?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense at all. I didn't ever have brown hair. Someone was like, no, you guys got this. You and Dave Matthews have the same face, the same mouth. It's very strange.
Were you carrying an acoustic guitar at the time? Maybe, I don't know.
No, I just was there, and I had maybe I was just being someone was yanking my chain, but then it happened again a couple months later, and I want to say that I had someone made a picture when I was in college of they juxtaposed me next to him on maybe my Facebook or something. I'll try to hunt down that picture from one of my college friends, because I know it's out there somewhere. And right. He was like, and I looked at it, I was like, me and Dave Matthews don't look anything alike.
Yeah.
No. And he was like, no, I see it, even looking at the picture. But as you said, this comes up between you, me, and an audience of somebody else that we'll get into, and let you know what about it. But because the third member of this conversation is very surprising.
Yes, and that is where we will take our break. And when we come back on the other side, we will tell you about what's coming up this week, including the episode where Mike and I first discussed his appearance, lookalike appearance to Dave Matthews, and then we're going to get into some Knicks talk as well in relation to the Islanders, and reveal the winners of our sweepstakes over the Patreon. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. So join us at this break and then meet us on the other side. Thanks. And now a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly.
Looking for a protein shake that tastes as good as it performs? Meet Rockin' Protein Max. Packed with 50 grams of fuel, it'll help you keep up when your day won't slow down. And because it's always creamy and never chalky, every sip tastes great. Even better, it's lactose-free and has 0 added sugar. It's not every day you find a protein shake you actually want to finish. Catch Rockin' Protein in the dairy cooler at a store near you. Rockin' Protein and Shamrock Farms are registered trademarks of Shamrock Foods Company.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
Thanks, yours too!
What does RAV stand for anyway?
To me, it's the Remarkably Advanced Vehicle.
Really? To me, it's the Runway Approved Vehicle for its amazing style.
What about Remarkably Adaptable Vehicle because of its versatile cargo space?
Or Really Admired Vehicle?
Oh, or Really Awesome Vehicle.
It really is the Recreational Activity Vehicle. The stylish 2026 Toyota RAV4 Limited. What's your RAV4?
Okay, a little bit about our schedule coming up here. Monday, the day you're listening to this, the call will go out for questions for our monthly mailbag podcast for June. So get your questions in. Sign up at the Patreon for the Country Club tier, patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety. You can get your question in that way. You can also listen to the episode when it releases on Tuesday, but that will be recorded on Monday. So if you have a question, get it in on Monday and we'll record it that night. Put the episode out on Tuesday. On Friday, we will have a very special surprise episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast. Last Friday, we put out a great episode with our dear friend Arthur Staple about Nino Niederreiter, finally closing the book on Nino and the rookie year from hell. And I found it very cathartic, personally, this episode. And so check it out. It was great. We also did a Weird Islanders extra episode with Art, telling a story about the time he got into a big argument with Jack Capuano and the real man behind the argument, which should surprise no one at all. That is exclusive to the Patreon, but the episode is great. Check it out if you haven't listened to it, because Art is the best. And this was an episode I wanted to do for a long time. And he was the right man for the job, obviously, since he was there for the entire Nino saga. And I thought we finally did close the book on that. Normally, we would not have a Weird Islanders episode this week, but this week we do have a very special surprise episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast, coming out on Friday. It came together very quickly, and boy, am I glad it did, because it's a fantastic interview with a super special guest. In fact, a guest so super special that I will reveal him right here. It is indeed the man himself, Josh Ho-Sang. Mike and I sat down with him. He gave us some time as he was coming off of the ice from practice, and he was fantastic. He was open and honest and funny and great, and exactly as you would expect. And we touched on a million different topics, including celebrity lookalikes, his watching anime on the road, his music, what he's doing now on the ice, the Knicks, of course, who had just come off of that Game 4 comeback, and all kinds of stuff. That comes out this Friday. I know it's a holiday for a lot of people. My office is closed for Juneteenth, but take an hour, sit in the backyard, grab a drink, listen to Josh Ho-Sang and us talk, because it's a fantastic episode. And again, it was a special. We didn't expect it to happen. It happened very quickly, so I'm glad it did. That's this week. And then next Friday, which is also the draft, the day of the draft, will be our final Weird Islanders, the podcast episode for this year, the weirdest Islander of the year. We have our poll done. We have another great guest as well. So I won't reveal that yet, but that'll be next Friday. So 3 straight weeks of Weird Islanders, the podcast, for your listening pleasure. Definitely listen to them. And like I said, the weirdest Islander will be next week. I know you're all waiting desperately for that. But don't forget about the mailbag episode coming up this week as well. Very quickly, if you can give us your quick thoughts on the Ho-Sang episode without revealing too much. He was fantastic, by the way. It was great, and I got to edit it this weekend, and it came out fantastic. I can't wait for people to hear it. I hate that I have to wait a week for this, but it's special when we reveal who it is. But really quick, your summary of that episode.
It's quite a fun conversation, and just as you said, like, it came together really quickly, and it was basically we all kind of put our cards on the table at the beginning before we recorded, and said, like, here's what we don't do and don't want to talk about, is that, and we were like, yeah, that's cool, like, let's just turn it on and just have a conversation rather than structure the episode like a chronological tour through his career and his 50-something games with the Islanders, which I think was a lot of fun and the right way to do it. And he was he was just an incredibly fun person to listen to, I would say.
Yes.
So you'll have a good time. I don't think I feel like it didn't go the way, in a good way, it didn't go the way you'd expect it to go, which was and like I said, I mean that in a good way. So and we talked about doppelgangers. So
it is a very Josh Ho-Sang episode.
Yeah,
and then again, it covers many topics. We called him a Renaissance man, and he showed it, and it was fantastic. So check that out on Friday. Okay. We did in that episode with Josh Ho-Sang talk a little bit about the Knicks, because again, it was the top of everybody's mind after that historic Game 4 comeback against the Spurs. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the Knicks right here. Obviously, people are still glowing. They won their first championship in 53 years. I actually woke up Sunday, wrote a whole article. I've been doing these posts over at the Patreon called Impertinent Islanders Thoughts. The best I can come up with, honestly. And you can read it. It's for all paid patrons. So Uncle tier and Country Club tier subscribers can read it. And it was just like, we did an episode on Country Club Atmosphere last year about how we used to both be Knicks fans, and we're kind of not really basketball guys anymore. And so I do feel like this championship wasn't necessarily for me, but I was happy for many, many of my friends, many celebrity fans. Anything Mariska Hargitay wants, she can get. I love her to death. I would take a bullet for her. So she's happy. I'm happy. Anne Hathaway, among others, of course. And but at the same time, it did make me think of the Islanders and how, I've mentioned on this show before, over the last 5 years, I think I've maybe enjoyed a dozen Islanders games, probably less, mostly because of Matthew Schaefer in the last year, Bo Horvat in there too, and like the way they have played these last 5 years is I would describe as moribund. Like it's boring and it's never they never like outplay or, out talent or out hustle anybody. It's always like some guy has a crazy game, or Sorokin has a crazy game, or Schaefer has a crazy game, or they get lucky with, a minute and a half to go, or they get a bounce in overtime or something like that. So it's been an exhausting and really draining way to watch hockey. And I don't see how the Islanders pull out of it, win a championship. To me, they're very, very far from it. I know we can talk about, prospects and this, that, and the other thing, but to me, this is a team that is very, very far away from a championship. And of course, I've talked about this with my therapist, because that's exactly what we do in therapy. And fortunately, my therapist is very open about this, is very accommodating when one wants to talk about sports during their sessions. And she was just saying that, I should give myself over to the belief, the hope. And like I had kind of stopped believing because they had given me so many reasons not to believe in them. And I should give myself over to the belief, because even if they don't make it and don't win, it's okay. Like I can handle what comes next. This is all based on sort of anticipatory anxiety. And she's right, but I have to get there. And maybe Schaefer can get me there. He's obviously, we all have a ton of belief and hope and pride in him. But right now it seems pretty far away that the Islanders will ever get a moment like the Knicks had this week. You read it, what I wrote, and you had some thoughts on it as well. But it's been cool watching the Knicks win. I gotta say, I am a little bit jealous of them. But that being said, I am happy for many, many people I know, and including if a lot of you listeners. Congratulations, that's very cool, and I hope you enjoy it. The parade is on Thursday, and thankfully I am working from home that day, so I don't want to be anywhere near New York City when that's going on, because there's going to be probably 25 million people in the city that day. But yeah, your thoughts on sort of the Knicks and how they relate to the Islanders. Show is Islanders anxiety, so we're always going to make it about that. But I don't know. I feel like I watched that whole thing, and I'm like, I'm never gonna experience this for my hockey team. That was my overall thought.
Yeah, the show is called Islanders Anxiety, which I always find funny. Sometimes people will provide us with feedback about like how we're not negative, but maybe Debbie Downer sometimes, negative, whatever it is. But it's right there in the title. And honestly, the title for the show could be called Two Washed Up Dudes Who Don't Think the Islanders Are Ever Gonna Win a Stanley Cup, right?
Right.
That could be what it's called, and that's how Knicks fans thought about their team forever. I mean, for some reason I keep getting this like image of my head of me walking the halls of high school with some friends who were Knicks fans, and just almost like knowing like they know their team's never going to win, and I know my team's never going to win, and we don't ever betray me by winning, like your team can't win because
right.
I don't know. I just keep getting this image of us and me and a couple of my friends in high school, and just taking solace in I'm talking to someone about the Islanders and they're talking to me about the Knicks, and we both know it would literally be hell will freeze over before our teams. They were so far away, and the Islanders feel it too. And the other thing that I kept thinking was, there's all these images and videos of the city shaking basically with people and partying and all that. And I was trying to think what the Islander version of that would be.
I
just
that too, yeah.
A couple people on the roof of Miller's Ale House on Hempstead Turnpike or something.
Yeah. Or somebody on their corner yelling and
right.
Shut up! You scare my dog like that.
Just going to the diner like you would after a night of drinking at a bar, and just meeting up with friends, being like, "Wow, did you see the Islanders win the Stanley Cup?" Yeah, I did too. Oh man, I'm just gonna get like some chicken fingers and French fries and go home. I can't picture it in my head, and it would look very, very different. And it would be covered very, very differently as well, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, and as I said, like I feel this like very strange, and maybe it's because the Knicks have never won, and it never like crossed my mind that the Knicks could win, that it was like, it was just like it was possible for that to happen. That I just feel this like weird, I'm just like very happy for almost like I've removed myself from it, and I'm just like happy for those who are celebrating, because I've got no ill will towards any basketball team at all. Like I have no like emotional attachment to the sport or the league at all.
Yeah, same.
There's not a team that I don't like the Toronto Raptors, the Knicks are owned by James Dolan. Like, there's just like no, I don't know. I just don't have the will to care. And also, I think the way the league carries itself, it's a little different. So like, if you're an outsider, you just don't get what's going on on the inside. But but the one thing I will say is like it's made me believe that I could go my entire life without the Islanders winning the Stanley Cup even more. Just because I just like seeing how it happened and how it unfolded with the Knicks winning. Was it 13 in a row? Then they lost one, and then they came back from 30 points down, and they lost one game in like the last 15 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And just thinking, wow, that's what you have to do to win a championship if you're a team like the Knicks or the Islanders. I don't think it's going to happen. It was going to happen to one of us, and it didn't happen to us. So, but yeah, I'm as sad as that sounds, it's just where we're coming from. And once again, the show is called Islanders Anxiety for a reason. This is the theme of the show is that we've devoted, and not just me and you, but everyone listening to the show has devoted so much time to this team and so much effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears. And there's no guarantee that they will even come close to providing what the Knicks just provided for their fans who did the same. And maybe that's why I feel the way I do, is because Knicks fans have, the real ones out there, the real Knicks fans they've laid it all on the line for this team, and they've watched this team. They didn't deal with the threat of relocation, but they dealt with their own demons as well. But that they took some serious scars, and got to have a level of catharsis that we can only dream of last night. So never know. Matt Schaefer, the Islanders do have Matt Schaefer, and that's a huge deal. So maybe he does provide these moments for us eventually, but it's just so hard to wrap my head around it. And I've never been able to picture what it would look like or what it would feel like outside of just making the jokes about the diner or whatever. But congrats to the Knicks fans. You kind of have a tinge of that. Most people who listen to this, the Islanders are their number one team. But if you do have like the Knicks in your soul, you got to at least feel a little bit of it, and that's awesome for you.
Yeah, it so much of it is like we are carrying so much baggage. I mean, not just the current team and the current management and the current coach. I mean, again, I'm leaving Pete DeBoer aside. The most recent other coach and coach before that. It just, my thing is like they would sort of need to completely rejigger how they do anything in order for me to believe that they understand what it takes to win a championship, because I just don't think that they do. I mean, the owners have sunk a lot of money into this team. That's fantastic. They built them an arena. That's phenomenal. And like you said, we don't have to worry about relocation. That specter has been exercised. That's fantastic. But also, it seems like they care a lot more about the arena than they do about what's going on on the ice. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, because, they are paying Patrick Watt to not coach them now. But at the same time, there's a lot of money tied up in a lot of guys that really they don't need anymore and could be moved in order to make room for new guys to move the franchise along. We've been over Darsh's moves a lot. Started great with the Dobson trade and the draft, and then just seemed every other one seemed to get progressively worse and baffling. And so now it's on him and Peter DeBoer to fix all this. Maybe that was all, you could chalk that up to, first year GM stuff, but year two is going to be huge, because if you can't fix it in year two, now we're in really a problem area. And Schaefer is the wild card. I mean, he's so great, but at the same time, if you want a cautionary tale on what it's like to have a great player, look at the Oilers, who we didn't even discuss, are apparently going to hire Mike Babcock because they are out of ideas on how to get Connor McDavid his cup in the next 2 years. And so, I mean, he's been everything the Oilers could possibly have asked for and more. And they have another guy who's just as good in Leon Draisaitl, and they have no cups to show for it. They have, two Western Conference Finals, championships, which the Islanders don't even have. Again, this team has not won a division since 1988. And they have not won a Stanley Cup since 1983. You guys all know the list. It's just, there's a long way to go before I can believe that this team will win a cup. I didn't want to down any, piss on anybody's parade here and be like, well, it's great for the Knicks, but the Islanders are never going to see that. I've been telling my wife that because she doesn't care, but at the same time, I don't want to say that to anybody and ruin things. But I just look at, obviously I look at everything through the Islanders lens, and it's very hard for me to picture moments like the ones I saw last night, and just, with them and stuff, and just, I don't know. Maybe, but then again, Matthew Schaefer was at Game 4. So I wonder, I'm sure he was sitting around with Matt Martin's house with, Clutter and Zeker and Leasy and Bales and the whole crew and Barzy and all those guys, maybe watching Game 5 and being like, we need to do this here. And maybe it energizes them. I doubt it, because I'm sure there's, 70 other teams and 10 other sports looking at that being, we need to do this, but the Islanders have a chance to they could rewrite their history at any moment. Like the Knicks on Saturday night rewrote their entire last 53 years with that one championship. So the Islanders do have a chance to rewrite their story and change their narrative. I just can't see it happening, but you never know. Maybe
and it'd be concerning if you came on here and were like, I feel like the Islanders are about to do this. I'd be very concerned.
Right.
But that's just, it's just not how we're wired. How could we be? How can any Islander fan be wired? I could hear any. I love talking to optimistic Islander fans. It's great, and I love hearing them talk about Schaefer, or before that, the core and Lou and Barry, and before that, Tavares, and before that, well, there was nothing before that, but like it. But I like hearing it, and I sit there and I listen, and I try to pump myself up by listening to them and being like, well, if this person who has a good head on their shoulders believes, like, I gotta give myself over to the belief. But when you've been beat with the stick that we've been beat so often and in so many different ways, I mean, god damn, Jacob Slavin scored a goal off Ilya Sorokin's head in a playoff game, and like that's the Islanders didn't win that series, and they probably weren't going to, but like those were the goals they were scoring, goals off stanchions and whatever. And that was like the 313th unluckiest break for the Islanders in my fandom. So when you get hit with that stick over and over and over again, it is really, really hard to give yourself over to the belief. And it takes proof more than anything. Like, I don't think any Knicks fan was thinking in Game 2 of the playoffs, when I think they lost to the Hawks, and they were, they split the first 2 games of that first series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And, I don't think there was any Knicks fans at that time thinking this is a team of destiny. But just like there, if the Islanders did the same thing, I don't think it would be this. We'd be saying, "Oh man, we just split with the Penguins. We're going places." But after you win 5 or 6 games in a row, you're like, okay, now it's happening. So like, there's got to be some proof, and the Islanders have given us no proof. They've given us zero proof outside of like a couple, as you said, individuals. Right. And the closest thing we had was 2021 and 2020, and think about how long it took to get there and what it took to get there.
Right.
And they still, came up short. And so it's hard. It's just hard to get there. And it stinks that this is the conversation we have. Yeah. But it's once again, the name of the show gives it away. Who knows? Maybe they draft another really, really good player. Just they get lucky and they pick 13th, right? They get the 13th pick of this draft coming up. Is that we don't do? That's what, the 27th. So a couple weeks. Like, who knows? Maybe the draft changes their fortune again, and we get closer. But until there's like proof, it's really hard to give yourself over to the belief. And we did try. Like, I was on the Team of Destiny bus.
Yeah, in 2021.
And this season too, I was like, they're getting so many breaks. Like, this is crazy. Like, there's we were talking about the Disney trip and pixie dust and all that stuff. Like, we try, and the rug got pulled out from under us again. So now to try to give yourself over to the belief again, you have to also deal with that. Like, oh, I just did this last year, so I have to work even harder to believe. So
again, 2021 was 5 years ago. Like, The 5 years since
right.
whatever hope we had has dissipated behind a lot of bad decisions, a lot of bad play, a lot of bad coaching, just bad on bad. So that's the way I look at it. Again, read the piece if you can over at the Patreon. People seem to like it, and it came right out of me between, I would say, about 8:00 and say 10:30 Sunday morning, because I had so many emotions, and I was feeling a little FOMO from the Knicks because I could not in good conscience take part because I had not watched a Knicks game in forever. And if anything, all you Knicks fans should thank me for not watching any games, because had I watched the games, trust me, they would not have won in 5. They probably would have gotten swept by the Spurs. But anyway, we'll be eating off of this Knicks, championship for a while, I think, in New York, which would be fun until they become annoying. And then it'll be like, oh my God, these guys are ready.
The one other thing I just want to mention that I really loved about the Knicks run was that like the alumni got so into it.
Yes.
Stephon Marbury was getting a stern talking to about how many times he was on the court and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. Like I'm begging for the Islanders to win a Stanley Cup so I could see, Josh Bailey in tears, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to see Josh Bailey. I want to see Josh Bailey in his street clothes, just overcome with emotion, and Matt Martin in a suit lifting the Stanley Cup, and Sean Bates being let out in handcuffs because he partied too hard, stuff like that. Like that's what I want to see. So that those kind of like the stuff on the peripheral, like it's just trying to imagine the Islanders version of it. Was a lot of fun. And then you get brought back down to earth, remembering that.
Yeah, they traded for Braden Shen.
Right.
But and actually, and again, just to get back to the Ho-Sang interview, which again comes out Friday, we talked about this, and I said that was when I started getting emotional, was seeing clips of that Game 4 and being like, oh shit, Marcus Camby's here, and he's hanging with Latrell Sprewell, and they're both like, oh, like that. That's when I started getting emotional, because these guys, I watched them. And the last time I was a Knicks fan, I watched them go to that final against the Spurs and lose, and here they are, kind of, basking and taking part in this victory as well. So I'm 100% there with you. I want to see Peter Mika here and Don Cutts and all these guys come back and like hugging each other, because they never got a chance to do this stuff. So maybe not those guys, because those guys, well, not Don Cutts, because he was,
like Marius. How great would it be to see Marius Strakowski looking incredible?
Yashin, like, all those guys, perfect.
Right. And I think that's part of what the similarities between it's the Knicks and the Islanders. They play in the same metropolitan area, but they're so different in terms of how deep the pockets are, the celebrity profile, just like the cultural cachet. But the similarities are there, that the hurt and the connection between player and team, because the players felt, they're like, oh wow, these fans have been through a lot, and the fans appreciating the players out there being like, no, you got it. You're one of us as soon as you put on that jersey. Like it's once a Knick, always a Knick, once an Islander, always an Islander kind of thing. So like that, it would make me so happy to see the Islanders a much more, it would look different, but it would feel the same of the Islanders. It's not Timothy Chalamet, but it's seeing Christy Brinkley just like being overcome with emotion would, that would be great.
We don't have Sydney Sweeney, but we'll have Christy Brinkley, who
we got Christy,
the Sydney Sweeney of her time in a lot of ways. So
I hope Christy Brinkley would have given her the time of day. She'd be like, I've been a celebrity fan since the freaking Dynasty, man. Like this is you think you got this? No, come on. Come on. I wore a Mike Sillinger jersey to a game.
Yeah, right. Where's your pajama jersey? You don't have one? Oh, there you go. That said, if Mariska wants to come to a game, she is welcome. In my book, anytime. Okay, we've done this whole episode. We're about to wrap it up. If you've listened this whole time, we really appreciate it. It is time to finally reveal the winners of our sweepstakes. Thank you so much to everybody who signed up, whether it was free, whether it was paid. We really appreciate it. If you did sign up for a free subscription, consider maybe, if you can, signing up for the full thing. You get stuff all summer long, or you can just keep the free subscription, get our weekly release calendar, and see what comes out every week that way too. We hope that people don't drop off because, you might as well stay, especially if you signed up for free. But we do appreciate this. I'm going to read the people's names, the winners' names. I'll probably be reaching out via email to you. I'm going to consult with both the Pinot Project and VintageIceHockey.com, who have been generously providing these prizes, and we'll decide what the best way to do this. If I do reach out to you, for whatever reason, you have 48 hours to get back to me, or else we're going to find another winner for these things. I'm going to get a little bit more about that in a minute. Okay. So the winners of our 3 t-shirts or hoodies from VintageIceHockey.com. So we had over 500 members here and only 6 winners, which means that unfortunately 494 of you are not winners. So that's already the vast majority of people. The methodology for this, I used 2 randomizer websites. One was flippity.net, which basically made groups. I had groups of 3 and then single and then a group of 2. Just so I put in all the names. It made random groups, and then I used a website that was just a random number generator, randomizer.org, to give me a number so that would pick which group it was. So it was two separate forms of random numbers here to get there. This is about as random as I could make it. And so with that all said, here are our winners. The winners of the 3 t-shirts / hoodies from VintageIceHockey.com are, number 1, Elite Twisters, who is one of our frequent mailbag submitters. Congratulations, Elite Twisters. Number 2, Andrew Fechner. And number 3, JFN. So congratulations, Elite Twisters, Andrew Fechner, and JFN. You have won a t-shirt or hoodie of your choice, courtesy of VintageIceHockey.com. The winner of the Islanders varsity jacket from Isles Lab, courtesy of the Pinot Project, is Lawrence Cabusora. Congratulations, Lawrence Cabusora. You have won the Islanders varsity jacket, courtesy of the Pinot Project. Finally, our grand prize, each winning a customized jersey, courtesy of the Pinot Project. Winner number 1, Rick Carpenzano. And number 2, Greg Cessa, C-E-S-A. So congratulations, Rick Carpenzano and Greg Cessa. You have each won a customized Islanders jersey, courtesy of the Pinot Project. Both Rick and Greg are free members, so I have your email addresses only. So I'm going to reach out to you on Monday. You have 48 hours to get back to me. If you don't get back to me by midnight Tuesday, we're going to find some other winner. So I need your address in order to send you a jersey, or at least the Pinot Project does. So thank you again, everybody, for participating in this. We really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you spread the word to others to sign up for the Patreon, and we can get some more members here. But this has been a lot of fun. And thank you again to Kevin Schultz, VintageIceHockey.com, and David Skurnick at the Pinot Project for providing these great prizes. Any final congratulations words to our winners here before we wrap this episode up?
No, thanks for doing that, and thanks to the Pinot Project and Kevin at Vintage Ice Hockey for providing the prizes. And hopefully we can do some more sweepstakes. We're not allowed to. What are we not allowed to call it? A lottery. Don't call it a lottery.
Yeah, it's got to be a sweepstakes. It's got to be entered for free. Yeah.
Yep.
So found out a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that, and thanks for the support. And so we're winding down another season here.
Yeah. So this week is Weird Islanders, Josh Ho-Sang. Next week will be a Country Club Atmosphere, and then our Weirdest Islander of the Year on Friday. That's the day of the draft. We will be back that following Sunday. So the 28th, we'll be back with an Islanders Anxiety. That episode, that Sunday, we're obviously releasing on Monday, covering the draft, whatever the Islanders do that weekend. And then we will do an episode. We'll record an episode on July 2nd, Thursday. That'll come out that Friday. That will be our season finale for the year. We'll obviously be back in October. Some kind of big news happens, hiring, firing, trade, whatever, we'll jump back in. But otherwise, that'll be our season finale. So just 2 episodes of Anxiety left to go, 2 Weird Islanders episodes left to go. But then all summer long, we've got mailbags, Country Club Atmospheres, all kinds of stuff over at the Patreon too. So thank you so much for listening. We'll be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode of Anxiety. But obviously, Weird Islanders is coming up this weekend. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music at Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day For your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion, Islanders Anxiety Podcast are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a review where you can. Please subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Obviously, shop vintageicehockey.com and try wines from the Pinot Project. Mike, any final thoughts here on one of the any of the many subjects we covered, or perhaps the draft? I don't know if you.
Yeah, no, we did. For a good draft preview episode by us.
Yeah, perfect draft preview episode.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'll just say, prepare yourself for the next couple of weeks that you're gonna hear. Oh man, it sounds like there's gonna be some crazy deals going down at the draft, sure. And then they'll say, oh man, well, not too much went down at the draft, but there was a lot of talk. That means July 1st is gonna be crazy, and then they'll go to the cottage and be like, oh man, don't be surprised if this September during training camp there's some crazy trades before the rosters have to be in. And so, yeah, get ready for that cycle to start up all up again.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure. We don't, if you're looking for a draft preview, I'm sure there are many other people that will do that for you. I will give you two names though. One, Adam Novotny. I like the cut of his jib. I think he might be a good pick.
Is he Yuri Novotny's kid? If he's Yuri Novotny's kid, then of course I'd love him.
Think so. I haven't seen anything about that. Maybe it's possible, but he only comes up in blurbs, and I'm like, oh, this guy sounds pretty good.
I always wanted Yuri Novotny on the Islanders. I felt like he had like a good skill set for us. He just wasn't very good, but he had like a good shot. That was about it.
It's possible, but again, I just keep seeing his name, and I'm like, I don't know. This guy sounds like he could probably be a cool Islander. That's number one. Number two, Albert Schmitz, big, tall defenseman. He's kind of rocketed up the charts as far as I understand. And I could be totally wrong here because obviously I'm not a draft guy, prospect pervert, whatever. I'm getting Atu Ratu / Cole Iserman vibes from him in the sense that he's the guy everybody has super high and then nobody takes him. And then they're the Islanders and they just kind of swoop in and get this guy. Everybody's like, oh, wow, this guy, he's going to the Island. That's pretty good. So he's like 6'3", big monster-y type guy. And, him and I wouldn't mind seeing him and Schaefer on the same blue line for years and years to come. So that's the extent of my draft preview here. So I'm sure somebody will be like, yeah, you're wrong. I mean, the last time we talked about the draft, people yelled at us. So we're not going to do that again. but we won't be back with anxiety before the draft, but we will be back after the draft and then after the first couple of days of free agency to wrap things up as well. So thanks a lot for listening. And we will talk to you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.